most confident, self-possessed woman I've ever met. You're someone who is very empowered. And people either love it about you or they get triggered by it.
I never have this space online or anywhere in which I can, be a little bit more vulnerable. A lot of my confidence came from a will to be seen. And maybe when I was a kid, I wasn't seen. People were like, why would you make it? You're just a pretty girl. Oh, I don't want to have kids. When I started talking about it online, I've gotten so many reactions. And I was like, oh, so this is a taboo topic. Man is like, you have to have kids, your value as a woman diminishes without them. Like, okay, I'm not an incubator. So you have to be a bit delusional. And then you have to do everything in your power and try again and again and again to realize that delusion.
What would be your advice to someone who is very insecure? Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Mimi Ikonn podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my fellow Leo goddess, Xenia Tchoumi. Thank you so much for being here today. There's so many things I admire about you.
Likewise, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
You're one of the most confident, self-possessed women I've ever met. For anyone who's watching and maybe is new to you, I just want to talk a little bit about what you have done so far, because I think it's always interesting to know about the background. But what I will focus on after is all the qualities that you possess that I really admire about you. So you are someone who's been working since the age of 12, which is really inspiring. You've been modeling since the age of 12. You almost became the Miss Switzerland at the age of 18. Was it 18, right? You came very close as the final contestant. And then that led to a lot of fame on your path, which led to so many other opportunities of modeling, acting. But in the end, you've built your own empire. And you're a digital entrepreneur and also an author who wrote a book on empowering yourself, which again, I really admire, because this is something I feel like you definitely embody. You're someone who is very empowered. And people either love it about you or they get triggered by it. And we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
And you speak 6 languages, which is, again, something I really love and admire about you. Not something many people can say they can do. But also, you're just someone who is very authentic. So thank you for making the time to chat with me today.
Well, thank you for the beautiful presentation.
I'm like, what do I focus on? But yes, you're a multi-talented being.
Well, thank you.
A gorgeous woman. But of course, your beauty is not just the external, it's the internal. I think that's what I always find the most attractive in all of my friends. And since I have met you, I feel like there's so much depth that you have and possess that the people from the outside maybe don't always see and perceive in the content that you share. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I think oftentimes we intentionally not portray, but maybe only reveal a certain image to our audience. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, and maybe it's a conscious choice. Maybe it's just something that happened organically through your work. But I would love for people to get to know the Xenia I know, as I'm lucky to be a friend. So as we talk more about your confidence, I would like to go deeper into your childhood. I often wonder if the qualities we possess or the characteristics that we possess, is it something that comes natural to us, or is it something that we build over the course of our lifetime? So I think confidence is something people notice right away about you. You're someone who, I think it's in your body language. You make direct eye contact, the way you carry yourself, the posture, everything is there. But is it something you've always possessed?
So first of all, thank you so much for giving me a space in which I can be a little bit more open, because maybe it's not even conscious, but I feel like I often like to portray and help people with empowerment, confidence, positive traits. But obviously, I'm a human being and I also have a lot of vulnerabilities. And you're amazing at opening up and at connecting with people and making people open up as well. And I guess, of course, when we are in private, I'm extremely open with you, but I never have this space online or anywhere in which I can, you know, be a little bit more vulnerable. In terms of confidence, it's a mix of things. I think I was quite confident naturally as I was born, but at the same time, I think a lot of my confidence came from a will to be seen. And maybe when I was a kid, I wasn't seen. Don't get me wrong, my parents gave me a lot and they did their best, but they were very young when they had me. My mom was like 22, my father was like 23.
Wow.
So they were quite unaware of many things of psychologically that a child needs. And I think one part of it was for me to be actually acknowledged. And that is an analysis that I did way later in life. And then I realized that I have really fought to be seen. And this fight of being like, please acknowledge me, made me more confident because I just really wanted it. And of course, then many things came, my career, studies, everything else was kind of a byproduct of me, fighting to be seen for who I am, for my authenticity. And that is why I maybe come across as so confident, because I've developed it against adversity, against maybe not being acknowledged as much by people. And I've been underestimated so much all the time. Even now I get underestimated all the time, but it doesn't really trigger me. It's more like, oh, okay, sure.
So how do people underestimate you, you feel?
I'll give you an example. Historically, I went into therapy because I always appreciated therapy when I was a teenager. And I was studying economics, and I said to the therapist that my path will be that I'm going to go and get a internship in one of the best banks in London, investment banking. And the psychologist said, look, we need to manage your expectations. Not everybody makes it. It's very unlikely you will. So that was very weird. And I was like, okay, I'll show you. And I did land that super duper internship. I interviewed everywhere. I put so much effort into it. And yeah, so that was like one of these situations in which people really like underestimated me, but it happened to me a million times over.
Right.
Every time I started a business, every time I started a project, people were like, why would you make it? You're just a pretty girl. Maybe it's a little bit also of, women being underestimated in their powers, and also maybe a bias towards women who are in a profession. I'm not a model. I was never a model, by the way. I was always like a brand, but still, I'm modeling with brands. I'm working with brands. So it can be confused as a job as a model. I was working as a brand, but it's the same thing almost. And so I think people really see the surface and they don't really look beyond it and don't want to get to know you that much. So even if you tell them like you're starting a project, and even if it's successful, they're like, no, it's because you're beautiful. I'm like, all right, cool, sure. You know it really
Of
well
course.
that even with
Takes
our
so much more
profession,
than that.
even with our profession, just the workload and the discipline you
The
need.
discipline.
Yeah, there's so many beautiful women out there. They're not doing any of this. They're doing something else with their lives. So, and they're much more beautiful than me. So, saying that it's all beauty is very reductive.
I think it's also an excuse for people sometimes not to go after what they want, because they can say, hey, well, you're beautiful, you can do it, but I'm not as beautiful as you. So I have my victim card, right?
Yeah, and also men, it's not women, it's mainly men who say like, it's because you're
Fascinating.
beautiful. It's like, dude, what? Women are usually a little bit more understanding of what
So
it
how do you
takes.
deal with that type of criticism, or I suppose judgment?
I mean, I like to expose it because I take this as a conversation starter.
Good.
I think it's very important for everyone to see online that this is the bias. And it's important to speak about it, not to fight, but just to start a conversation about biases in society and expectations of women as well, and women in business.
I agree. Thank you that you always expose the light to the darkness that you personally get, sometimes attacked by, which I think anytime anyone is in the public eye, we're going to trigger people who are consuming our content. It's normal. It's the byproduct of being in the public eye. And what I've noticed you do as obviously somebody who consumes your content is that instead of hiding it or instead of pretending it's not there, you're like, here it goes. If I'm going through it, there must be so many other people, maybe who are on micro level, not necessarily at your level, because obviously the more exposure you have, the more people you will have with opinions about you. So what I personally admire about you is that you just say it as it is, and I think you process publicly, and sometimes you also put yourself out there vulnerably. I don't always do that, but I think it takes a lot of courage to expose in ways you get also triggered on the other side. Because obviously, if it didn't trigger some part of you, you wouldn't have exposed it
True.
either.
True, it does trigger, and that's why you react to it. And you have to be conscious of it as well, not to over focus on that.
Absolutely.
Because obviously there's so much support, so many amazing people emailing me and talking to me, saying thank you for, giving me the courage and the motivation to start this project or to start a business or, to feel a certain way. And that's one of the most rewarding parts of being, online and having a big audience, because you have that big support that you feel like you contribute, even if you contribute to one person's life. I mean, that's huge, right? It's a stranger.
Absolutely.
And you're improving their lives by just showing up. That's very important, in my opinion. So it's important to have, the right focus and not to focus on the negative. However, I'm not afraid of the negative. I think the negative is a conversation starter, and it can be, steered and used. And I actually noticed that some of these so-called haters sometimes become your fans after a while, that you kind of open a conversation with them. Not everybody, of course.
Of course.
Some of them are just committed to hate, but there's some of them that become your biggest fans once you acknowledge them.
I also think that the haters or people who know you so intimately that they're going to poke at the most vulnerable part of you are your biggest fans already.
Yeah, it's true.
I think they are just hating on you because maybe this is their love language. It happens in a lot of families, right?
Oh, gosh.
People do that in their own intimate family. What do you expect they're going to do to someone they don't even know? So this is their way of actually showing their love. But the fact that they obsess so much over you or me or someone else is because they're actually something in you that they're deeply attracted to. They can't stop consuming your content.
And they use you as a mirror.
True.
It's something in them. And, we are like mirrors online. We're not, because they don't know us as full human beings. It's impossible. At the end of the day, it's a video, it's an image. And as much as you can show, the full person cannot be known, right? Like, I can know you intimately, but the audience only knows like, 3/4 of you or whatever you want to show.
Absolutely.
So the audience, and especially the haters, are using us as mirrors for either their, aspirations or frustrations or idiosyncrasies. And that's why there is such a, strong energy that they show us.
No, absolutely. I learned to personally observe myself when I get triggered by this feedback. And over the years of being on social media now, it's been 15 years. I started my first YouTube channel in 2010. So it's been, I'm really an OG content creator. And I remember I used to get triggered so much. And I used that as a mirror to show me where I personally have not healed yet. Because if whatever that person is saying, who, like you said, only knows a part of me that I'm exposing online, if that is triggering me, then there's truth to that. This that they are attacking in me, I personally am not yet accepting in myself. And that's why I am triggered.
I totally agree.
Right?
100%.
Because if someone tells me you're a bad dancer, and let's say I posted a dancing video, and they're like, "You're such a bad dancer," I'm like, "I don't really care. I'm just having fun, whatever it is that I'm doing." But if I think that I am a bad dancer, and for whatever reason that is not good enough for me personally, and they're exposing that, that is going to really upset me. So it's all about the relationship to that judgment that we have with ourselves. And I think it's beautiful actually to have these people mirroring things to us, because it shows us the work we have to do. And what I personally have noticed recently, because I'm making a comeback to YouTube with podcasting, and I'm going to create more content, of course, with more content, more opinions, I really don't care. I mean, there's so much more compassion towards, I suppose, me, that all these comments I'm reading, especially, what I've gone through in my relationship status, and how like I've gone through separation. And of course, people will be triggered by that story, and they're projecting in their own lives. And some of these judgments are so harsh. And as I'm reading the comments, I'm so neutral.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Mimi, you've done a lot of work.
You grew up.
So I'm curious, how was that evolution for you as well? Because you've also been, I mean, in the public eye since the age of 12.
I think I've become more triggered as I got older.
Really? I'm curious. Why do you think so?
I don't know. It's a very interesting.
And that's okay. Thank you for
Yeah.
honestly admitting that, because maybe you are also becoming more open and sensitive
Or
in
more
some ways.
self-aware in a way. I don't know, because when I was younger, I was on this path in which I was grinding really hard. I was working really hard to make it. I've done so many things, from the early work in media to finance to everything I did. And I was too busy to listen to the noise. But now that I'm more grounded and I have, more focus, maybe I'm more open to opinions and to actually listening to others. Maybe that's the reason. Or maybe I just should channel my 15-year-old self. She was a badass. She really didn't care. What triggers me right now? I need to think about it. Somebody told me that I have an ugly piece of furniture in my house, and I got very triggered.
How did they even notice that you got triggered?
It wasn't really ugly. It's just that I didn't really. It was too full, and then I know it's too full, and it triggers me.
You see, because there's truth to that.
There's so much truth.
That is the beauty of it.
And I got so triggered. It's crazy. I was like,
yeah,
he's right. It's so bad.
So thank you.
Thank you. I know. I know. Yeah. So things like that.
Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That's what makes it real, right? You mentioned something to me yesterday, because we met over for matcha. Something that really stuck with me, and I think something that most people struggle with. We talked about your childhood, parents, all of that. And of course, we're all human. We have struggles in different areas of our lives. But you mentioned that when it comes to financial abundance and attracting work opportunities, career opportunities, this is something you have never struggled with. Or maybe I'm not phrasing it well, but this is something that you got it. Like anything you want, you manifest. And I was like, wow, I love that. Again, confidence. Because you have told yourself the story now, I know you will, right? Or you have been telling yourself the story since 12, right? First of all, I'm curious, how did you write this narrative for yourself? Because I'm hyper aware that, again, everything in life is a narrative, and many people don't become aware of the narrative they tell themselves. When did you start telling yourself the story, and how do you manifest all these incredible opportunities?
Not everything I do is successful, of course, but I keep trying. And I think accumulating experiences in which you try and some of them succeed help you believe in yourself. That's one of the things. And it's something I speak about a lot. It's proof. If you have more proof accumulated, then you will believe in yourself because you've done it. You've been on the journey. That's one of the things. Another thing is definitely everything is a narrative. And I think it was early naivety, and then it was hard work. And the mix between, blindly believing and then working hard for it no matter what is the formula. So you have to be a bit delusional And then you have to do everything in your power and try again and again and again to realize that delusion. And that's my formula, and it works for me. So when I lose my path, which it happens, you get a bit insecure or sad in life, I always remember and channel that energy in which, you blindly believe that you can do it. But then, of course, it's not enough to just believe. Then you do everything you can.
I love that you brought up this word delusion, and I'm laughing on the inside because I can so resonate, first of all, because I feel like I'm quite delusional. And again, there is a positive side to that and a negative side, right? The word delusional often is something that people will assume is not a positive trait to have, right? You are delusional, like stop living in this fairyland. But in order to make anything audacious a reality, like starting a business or attracting an incredible client, like you have worked with Dior, with all these incredible fashion houses and magazines. Who are you to work with them, right? Who am I to work with any of them or create a business or live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world in the neighborhood that I would always want to live in? Who am I? I'm just a simple girl from, I come from Baku, Azerbaijan. I spent the first 16 years of my life there. Is that delusion, like you said, to make it happen. And I was talking to my friend Masha the other day and I said, "Oh, why am I so delusional?" And she's like, but don't forget you are here today because of that delusion. So don't look down on your delusion. And I snapped out of it right away because I was talking about it more in a romantic sense because I get swept away by romantic ideas and all of that. And she's like, well, just see where it leads you. Like you don't know where your delusion will lead you. And unless you follow that path, you will never see if it's reality or not. And in my case, a lot of times delusion brought me to reality.
I think everything around you, everything you have right now, at some point was an idea, something you felt or thought or dreamed about. I think for everyone. So we need to be very mindful about what we think. And sometimes I forget about it, but actually, whatever you think and dream about and look at as well, the more you consume what you want, it doesn't matter what it is that you want in life. And, its manifestation is one on one. And I think whatever is in your life now, your dream neighborhood and dream friends,
This
it's
flat where we're
all
filming,
you.
yeah.
It comes from within you.
Mm,
It's not a physical thing. It was manifested and created in you, and then it came.
I love that. Dreamers
Yeah,
unite.
dreamers.
You wrote a book actually a few years ago called Empower You and how to, take the
Yeah,
lemons and make
empower
lemonade.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so like why is empowerment such an important theme in your life? I'm so curious.
Because I think I had to empower myself
Mm,
all the time. As I said, my history, people often think, oh, you have a rich dad or you come from a family that provided everything for you. And
yep.
it couldn't be further from the truth. Don't get me wrong. They did what they can and they did provide. But most of what I've gotten was despite of. And I did it myself, really. And didn't know that, I'm going to bring again the women empowerment conversation in society. Growing up, I didn't care woman, man, like I didn't even think about it. But then when I grew up, I realized that certain roles,
Yeah.
the provider and the, financially able person, usually it's kind of attributed to the man, and women are expected to find a man and settle down and then be taken care of. Of course, not everywhere, but it's very much of a narrative. And it never really occurred to me. I just wanted to do things and do them by myself. And that's one of the empowerment paths in my life, but also psychologically. I had to empower myself to believe in myself and do it myself. And, you know, once you go on that path, it becomes so addictive, so pleasant. You start seeing results and believing in yourself. And it's not, you know, I mean, there are sacrifices, of course, but I would never go back. It is such a pleasant feeling to be in a place where you believe that you can do it again and again. And it's only all within you. And I'm sure you have the same
Yeah.
because you've manifested it all, you created it all. And I wish for other people to really believe and sit down and start thinking, okay, what is it that I want? And what is it that I'm missing? And how can I actually find it in myself first? Not, outwardly, but start with yourself. And of course, in the book, there is a lot of self-help and practical techniques on how that I've developed. It's physical, it's mental, it's psychological, it's all an encompassing system that I've developed. But I think it can help people really, the people who are not on that path, really get, on the path of whatever they want, of self-actualization, of happiness, of really finding what it is that they truly want if they're not fully satisfied, and then pursuing it.
What empowers you the most in life?
Oh,
It's a big one, huh?
that's a difficult one. It's tough to say.
You can sit with it.
The first thing that came to my mind, it's not really empowerment, it's more like a feeling. And it is, relationships, but in a simple way.
Tell me.
Like the real ones, the simple ones, when you strip everything down. Not achievements and not, accolades or titles or anything like that. For me, it's just like dancing bachata in a simple town of the Dominican Republic. That recharges my energy fully because it's so simple and real, and it's about real connection with people without everything around it. We live in this world where we, pay attention to, I work with brands, so it's clothes, it's, events, it's who's who, and I genuinely don't really care. I never did. And the older I get, and the less I care about all this stuff. What empowers me is just true relationships. And then, of course, that energy, I can take it into my work.
Beautiful. Again, something I resonate with, and I'm sure so many people listening to this podcast right now can resonate. And now the science also backs it up, is that at the end of the day, when they ask the dying to look back and reflect on their life, the biggest regret is not spending more time with these close people and these authentic, genuine relationships that we have in our lives. And that at the end of the day, having this strong community and beautiful, genuine relationships in our life can actually extend our life and by like something like 50%. I don't know if you heard of the
Crazy.
latest
Yeah,
studies.
I didn't know it was that much, but wow.
It was really something that was at least 40% for sure. There's the latest, I think, study from Harvard. Don't quote me on this, but I'll need to find it. And I actually want to do a whole episode on this, like the power of community and people in our lives, because this is something I've been increasingly aware of and increasingly intentionally shifting more of my time and energy to put into my relationships. Because in my 20s, it was like hustle, hustle, hustle.
But you are genuine. Like, I want for people who are listening to this podcast, obviously they can't know because they don't know your person, but you're real. You're genuine with your people. You actually connect. What they see, it's not an act, it's who you truly are.
Thank you.
And I know it, I can feel it when I'm with you elsewhere, not in front of a camera. You're real. You're real. You're real. And you're doing it beautifully. And you bring out so much in people. So keep going, please.
Oh, I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Xenia, what is one daily habit that you have that is something you would never let go of because it makes a huge difference, positive difference in your life?
Okay, so daily habit. I mean, for me, it is kind of like a few things. It's not one.
Be a few things. The more the better. Give us the juice.
There's a couple of things that are important for me is connecting. I mean, I grew up Swiss Italian, but Northern Italian actually. So connecting to my people there or people here who are from Northern Italy, just listening, just sharing, the same cultural background, laughing about the same things.
So you call your friends?
Yeah, I call my friends, we laugh, or we just chat, or send each other memes. But that genuine laughter and connection that is like, maybe it's culture based, but I need it. Obviously, I live in London. So
how long have you been here for in London? Many years, right?
On and off.
So I love that you still have this connection with
I realized that I lost it without because for me it was obviously just who I am. But when I moved to London, I didn't realize that I had to foster that connection with my community. So it took me a while to realize, oh shit, I need to actually, make friends with people who are from my area to feel a little bit more grounded in myself. I missed that part of me. That's one part. Another part is, of course, all of the Latin dancing, and that is my physical expression,
I love that.
energetical expression. So those two things are definitely important for me. And
Do you dance every day?
no, but many times a week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just at home?
At home, of
Yeah.
course.
You just
When
put the music on
I'm
and
making my coffee,
I
I
love
have
it.
my, Juan Luis Guerra
Ah.
playing, and I dance my merenguito, bachatica. I need it. It
Yeah,
changes my
yeah.
whole chemistry, and my life is much different with good music.
Thank you for the reminder. I need to go back to that because we
Let's go.
share
I'll
the
take you.
love of bachata and salsa, and I go through periods where I remember to put it on, and I totally agree. Like, it switches my energy where I'm just happy for no freaking reason. I mean,
That's how we should live.
could be having the worst day of my life. I could be crying one moment, but then the music goes on. Mark Anthony, whatever. It's like da 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 da, da and it's like, let's go. So
Yeah.
what a beautiful way to, incorporate this in your at least weekly routine, and it
Yeah.
costs you absolutely nothing. Is there anything else that you absolutely have to have in your more or less daily routine?
I am a very varied human. I have many directions. So one of them is I'm a bit nerdy. So I like everything that is nerdy. Tech, AI, futurism. So I have a whole community of very techy, nerdy people in group chats, or we have meetups in which when we share. Those are founders, those are people who are really into futurism, and that nurtures me too. So I think what people could take away from this is find your interests and nurture them. Everybody's going to be different. For me, it's like, my Northern Italian community, bachata and nerds. But for someone else, it's going to be something completely different. But just nurture it because you have so many sides to you. And I feel like sometimes we forget. And that's why we kind of might become sad or unfulfilled because we don't nurture all of the sides of us as humans. And we are so multifaceted.
Absolutely. And I think it's such an important thing to keep in mind, to also look back at what used to make you happy in your earlier years, right? Because I think that's the most authentic, unfiltered version of us before we learn to, in a way, behave in a society. And it doesn't mean it will always happen, but I think for a lot of us who do live in big cities and not somewhere in a tiny little village with the animals on the farm, maybe it's different. But if you live in a big city, you in a way start conforming to your environment. And I think if I look back on my childhood and I think like what made me happy, those fundamental things didn't change. I'm still the same Mimi, just
So what is
maybe.
it?
Well, for me, I would say I resonate with a lot of what you said. For me, it's people, not necessarily connecting to people back home, but just connecting to people in real life, IRL. Very important, because for me, social media, great. The fact that we can build businesses and do so much online, amazing. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything compares to real life interaction. So I make time every day to meet with at least one friend. So that is that for me. And then for sure, dancing makes me happy. As a young child, I really wanted to do dancing, but I was put into piano.
Oh,
Which is fine because it really is fine. I've accepted that part of my life journey because everything happens for us. And I think piano gave me discipline. Not that dancing wouldn't have, but definitely. I realize sometimes in life, and I say this to my daughter as well, Alexa, I say, listen, sometimes in life we will have to do things that we don't necessarily enjoy, but are good for us. So sitting my ass down and practicing for an hour at least every day. Now, for example, I'm able to sit down and create a book or a project or a new product in a crazy short amount of time, where people would say you are delusional, there's no way you're going to write a book in 3 months or 2 months. Well, I've done this more than once, right? I've we've launched our first business, Luxy Hair, from the conception to the launch, 2.5 months, right?
Wow.
Crazy. How? Well, be delusional, right?
And be disciplined,
and be
thanks to piano.
disciplined. Absolutely. So for me, yeah, definitely dancing, people, and making time to be in nature as well, just going to the park, walking. I mean, we don't have access to a forest close to us, but if I live next to a forest, I would definitely also walk in nature and
Yeah.
enjoy that part as well
Yeah.
of what's available for free that can recharge and ground and connect me back to myself. A lot of these things don't cost a thing. The sunset, the sunrise, the
Totally.
ocean.
I think the most important things are free, if you think about it. You know, you have access to speaking to a friend, to hugging someone, you know, to dancing. You can have access to music barely, I mean, almost for free. So, yeah. And talking about the piano and the discipline, just touching on that
Yeah.
point, is so true that once you put effort into something, you don't know when in your life that something will, you know, produce results or get fruits or be
Yeah.
useful for you. You don't know. It's like learning languages. I didn't know at what point I'm going to be using my languages, but at some point, you know, I was hosting in many languages. It was just a mental training. Same for many other things that feel useless. But once you put the effort, one day, or like, you're going to develop as a human, and that's going to be part of your journey in a positive way. So I think putting effort into things that you like, passions, will always bear fruits. And it doesn't matter what it is, even if it feels useless at the
Exactly.
moment.
No, I can totally see that. And for you, for example, with all the languages that you speak in, it is incredible how, again, who would have thought there will be social media and you'll be able to make these videos where people can just relate to, right? They're funny, they put a smile on someone's face. I feel like that's how I discovered you a couple of years, well, not a couple now, a few years ago, because now we've known each other for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's just so cute and funny. And who would have thought you'll be able to get millions of views simply by being able to speak multiple languages?
Well, now AI is going to take that away, but still.
But you've used it when you could. I'm
Yeah.
curious, Xenia, what would be your advice to someone who is, let's say, the complete opposite of you,
Mhm.
right? Someone who is very insecure, someone who is very shy, someone who doesn't believe in themselves and doesn't feel empowered at all. If someone like this is listening right now or watching this, what would be your advice to them?
Okay, so start small and start with yourself. Find something about yourself that you like. I'm sure there's something. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be like, oh, you know, I'm funny, or I'm kind, or I like the way I walk. It could be anything, the smallest thing like you can imagine, but that you truly like. And think about it. Think about it and feel proud about it. And then try to, you know, harness that feeling and transfer it to other things. You know, it's about how you speak to yourself, and your own self talk is very important, your own opinion. So there's a few things. So catch yourself when you're being hard on yourself. For example, I'm clumsy. And
You own it. You walked in today saying, I'm clumsy. I
yeah, so
spilled
I
tea
just
on my.
burned myself. Anyway, and before I would always insult myself. I'd be stupid. I catch myself and I don't call myself stupid. I'm actually kind to myself. I mother myself. I say,
Beautiful.
it's okay. It can happen. You're doing well. Don't worry about it. Literally change what you're saying to yourself. So there's a few things. So first of all, find things that you like about yourself and keep thinking about them, write them down, and make a list of what you like about yourself. The second thing is self-talk. Change it and work on changing it every single day. It's a practice. And these are like the first things to do.
Beautiful.
And then is proof of concept. Do something, anything, and succeed at it. It can be tiny, but just watch yourself succeeding. It could be a hobby. It could be anything you want. And then expand that. And I think there is like a journey that you take with yourself. to become more and more kinder to yourself within you, and then expand it to many areas of your life. It's almost like a seed that you're planting, and that one day after another it starts growing. And then one day you wake up, if you do the practices, and you'll be like, oh, but I feel different. You know, I feel more secure.
That's such a beautiful advice. I can resonate and agree and sign after every word, because I feel like on my personal journey of building confidence and self-love, I literally have followed the same formula. So thank you for sharing that. I want to dive a little bit into another topic, which maybe is a bit more vulnerable, but I think many, especially women or men listening, could relate to, is this decision. We're more or less the same language. We're more or less the same age, I believe. And I know that since the day we met and we talked about family, children, you mentioned to me that you don't really have a desire to have a child. Have you always felt this way? I'm curious, because I think a lot of times, especially as a woman, or again, even as a man, right, there's this social pressure to have a family or to have the script and to follow the script of, you're a certain age, you should have a certain job or a career, and then you should be married and you should have kids, and then you are a success. So, how did you define your personal version of success, and how is it that for you, for example, at the moment anyways, or I don't know, since we last talked, yeah, like that there is
I
no
don't want to
desire,
have
yeah, to
kids.
have children,
I am
yeah.
very open about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have been always very open about it, and I didn't know that
Mm.
it would provoke such strong reactions.
Have you always felt this strongly about not having children?
Yes, but I think the older I get, then the stronger I feel about it, obviously, because, it's getting
And that's a
later,
good thing,
right?
right? Yeah.
Biologically, by the way, biologically, it's been found that women's eggs don't really accumulate that much DNA damage. So a geriatric pregnancy, it's not really geriatric because of the woman. Until 45, you can have perfect eggs. And it's actually the sperm that accumulates more genetic damage. So it's better if, an older woman has kids with younger men, theoretically.
Or if anyone should be freezing anything, it should be the man freezing their sperm, then, right?
Exactly. Do your research. This is scientific. This is a new discovery. I'm not lying. Anyway, that's not it. It's not what I'm saying. I don't want to have kids. Have I always felt strongly about it? I wasn't really aware of it that much, but I never really wanted them. But when I became older and older, then I was started to think about it, and I reflected upon it, and I'm like, no, that's not for me. This is not a life change I want. This is not a decision that I want to take in my life. I think I've always been very good at shaking off societal expectations of me. I even write about it in my book on how to do that. Societal expectations could be, your family, religion, your country, wherever you're from, like the structure you're coming from, your education. Everything puts so much structure on us and so much expectation. And I've obviously had a lot of it from my parents too. They're like, you don't want to have kids, you have to have kids. I'm like, I do what I want. When I started talking about it online, I've gotten so many reactions. And I was like, oh, so this is a taboo topic. I didn't know. I was just open and I thought it's just one video, nothing so special. And I realized that it needs representation. What I mean by that is that there are women that feel like me and they are boxed or hated on or pressured.
Why do you think it evokes such a strong emotion in other, specifically women? Because I think it's a lot of women, right?
Oh, it's also men, a lot of
Men
men.
as well.
Woof! A
Interesting.
lot of men too. It's
Okay.
both. And I'd say women, even women
Mm-hmm.
with kids,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I understand you. That's your journey. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas men is like, you have to have kids. Your value as a woman, it diminishes without them. Like, okay, I'm not an incubator. There's more to me than that. And I find it honorable and amazing if you want to have kids and do it properly. It is fantastic. It's an incredible job, but you have to be the right person for it. And you need to want it, and you need to embark in this journey. And I'm someone who does things properly. So if I had kids, I'd do it properly, not half-heartedly. And I think it would change my life so significantly and profoundly. And it's a change I don't want to have. I have so many aspirations. I don't feel I'll ever retire. I want to keep creating until I'm 80, 90, 100, whatever, hopefully. And I have so much to give that, I don't feel that I have this like part of me that needs to reproduce. I think I'm a complete being without it, and it's to each their own. So yeah, the reactions that I've gotten to these videos made me understand that, it's something that has to be spoken about. It has to be a subject that is not taboo. And no, I'm not an angry cat lady. I'm extremely happy. I have a wonderful partner.
Who is also aligned with that vision.
Absolutely aligned. I mean, I told him from the very start, it's a long-term relationship. I told him, this is who I am. This is what I want. Do you want that? I was always very open. It's important to be aligned. Otherwise, the relationship cannot stand. And representation is important. And no, it doesn't mean there's one correct way. You're a complete human one way or another. There's much more to a human being, You don't have to like just have one set rule in life or one set role in life. You choose. You can choose. You have agency to choose. Thank God we live in a society where we have agency to choose.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful for the women who came before us to give us this opportunity to work, to have a bank account, to develop our creative spaces. And, there's still a lot of work to be done on that, in that direction. But yeah.
I really admire the courage for you to speak up on this topic, especially because obviously it evokes a lot of these heated arguments in the comment section.
I'm very happy to answer them all.
Right. I think, again, it is putting yourself out there takes a lot of courage in
I just
general.
feel that some people's choices feel invalidated by my choice, but my choice is not something that has anything to do with them. I respect it. I love it. It's not like I hate children. I love children.
But I suppose the only ones who are getting triggered by that statement are the ones maybe who are not authentic with that decision with themselves.
Correct.
For example, I am not triggered by your decision not to have kids because I'm very confident in my decision.
Exactly.
Where I've had one and I decided for now I stop. Will I have more? I will be surprised if I have more. But like I shared
we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, I shared yesterday. I'd be like, I'm open to it, but it's not a hell yeah for me. So for me to have another child, I would need to like madly fall in love with someone and want to procreate with that particular man. And I'm okay to be in a maybe. Like I'm totally fine to have a maybe and not a hell yeah, not a complete no. And at the same time, when I first became a mother 9 years ago, Alexa just turned 9, I remember realizing, even though I knew it's going to be a huge responsibility, it's going to totally, completely shift my life, that how is it possible that we live in a world where anyone can have a child? To go and drive a car, you need a license. But to become a parent,
yes. Thank you for saying this.
I would get the system where people, and maybe I'm going to get hated for this, but I think if we're all really honest with ourselves, right? Really completely honest with ourselves. How many of us have had upbringing where we were not in toxic environments or in very unhealthy environments? It's very rare. Even growing up, if I'm thinking of all the families I came across as a child, there was very few families where I would say they were like healthy and nurturing and kind. Most of it was like screaming and yelling and very toxic environments. And I think this is what creates this perpetual cycle of suffering.
So much generational trauma keeps being transmitted because there is not enough education and awareness of what it takes and what a child needs. And so I think, obviously you cannot get a license to have a kid, but I think the more, you're open and you speak about what it takes, and there's this awareness of when a person has a child, they have to like work on themselves, on their own traumas, on their own
even
reaction.
Before,
And
for years
before,
before,
years before. So a person has to be ready, not just do it mindlessly, because the
then you
kid will
perpetuate the
suffer. Yeah,
cycle. You
yeah.
perpetuate the cycle of suffering and this trauma, and then in a way, I personally feel the responsibility, the weight of that responsibility. Of course, nobody's
You're doing an
perfect.
amazing job.
It took me
Yeah.
years to get to a point where I was ready to conceive. It was a very conscious conception. I think at that point we were already married for 6 years, and we could have had her way earlier. But I think it is so important what you're doing in this conversation that you're having on this topic, because I think we live in a world with so many kids already, right?
Yes, but
And
it's not everybody, sadly, has the privilege to be
mm,
ready to conceive or to be ready to work on their own traumas
true.
in the world at the moment. But whoever can, please do.
Hmm.
If you have the privilege and enough, financial stability to be able to work on yourself before having kids, please do.
And I
Yeah.
always encourage everyone, when having a child, it has to be a hell yeah, or don't do it.
Agree.
Right? Because it's not something you can return, right? It's not something you buy and you can take back. This is going to be with you for at least 18 years. And that's if you've done a good job, right? So it has to be a hell yeah. Otherwise, you don't have to be forced into this experience. And I think learning to accept your own truth and trust your intuition, that if it is not, it is okay to not go in that direction, not subscribe to that story and that narrative,
So much
and live your
pressure
own
out there.
journey. Of course, there's pressure.
So
Of
much
course,
pressure. Not everybody, has the courage to stand up against all of the societal pressures. So I think that's why this conversation is so important to have. And it's great for children too.
absolutely. And also, there's so many other ways that for those people watching who maybe love children, you can be an incredible aunt
Yeah.
or uncle. There's so many
A
programs.
mentor.
Yeah, you can mentor foster kids. There's so many
Absolutely.
other programs that you can be involved with and in, if you love children. I personally love kids, and if I knew I had more capacity, I would have had more, but I'm very conscious about what I can give now. Similar to you, I decided like this is what I have capacity for, so I stick with one at the moment. And yeah, I want to know a bit more about you before we wrap up this podcast. What do you think is your superpower?
Hmm. I think I might be my energy.
Hmm.
Like I not always, but I can harness this strong energy, and I think that's the energy from which I create and from which I make things happen. And
Where do you feel like it comes from? I'm always curious, even with myself when I create. I'm like, where does this? I mean, I believe in astrology. We're both Leos, so we have this fire in us. Sometimes I personally feel this just fire comes out, and it's like, boo, 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 I can do so much.
I don't have an
Where do you
answer.
feel
I
like?
don't have an answer, honestly, but I noticed clearly that when I do put in the discipline to meditate, which I don't always do, to my own detriment, but when I do, everything in me and in my life shifts. So that's where I harness this power that I have, and then I attract everything and I start creating. So
What kind of meditation do you practice?
mindfulness and just, silent meditation. It's when I feel that energy come into my body.
And how do you feel it? Does it speak to you? Does it
It doesn't
channel you?
speak to me. It's just a feeling. It's an alignment within my body. That's how
Hmm.
I feel it. Honestly, there is no way to describe it. And then from there, a lot of synchronicities start to happen. And I've seen the connection so much in my life that it's inconfutable. There's no way to say. It's definitely when I realign my mental space is when everything in my life works better. So maybe I should be more disciplined with that.
Thank you for that reminder. Again, I would say mindful meditation has also changed my life. In a sense, the way I see, for me, it just makes me more clear about who I am, why I'm here, what I need to do next, because there's so much noise in life. And oftentimes we get distracted because of the noise. And making time for meditation, it's almost like if you had a jar with sparkles and all these things and you just shook it, And what meditation does is just like putting that jar down and allowing for everything to settle down. And what is left is the truth of why you're here, what you need to do next. And it's that inner knowing that is there, that is always there. You just need to make the time to connect with it. So
Yes, I think we all have it innately. We just get lost. We just get busy. And I feel it like it's the same as connecting to people in a way. You're connecting to the world when you meditate in a way, and to yourself.
absolutely. Xenia, what is one question nobody has asked you, but you ask yourself all the time?
What's next? No, no, they
Is
asked
it?
me that. They
Yeah.
asked me that. Um, mm, Nobody has asked me. They asked me
Yeah,
so
I
many
know. That's
things.
why
Oh,
maybe it's something existential, or maybe it's maybe not.
it's just I've been asked that recently. What is the meaning of all of it? I've been asked that a lot.
Do you ask yourself that question a lot? What is the meaning?
I have an answer, but it's a little bit nihilistic or existentialistic. To me, the meaning is what you give it. To me, there's no like predetermined meaning. It's whatever you decided it's gonna be. That's personal.
The life is what you make of it.
Yeah,
I literally live by this quote. Yeah.
So you make your own meaning and then you roll with it, and that's fun.
You can make it a story of suffering and victimhood, or someone who is empowered and following their dreams. And yes, maybe failing on the path, which is part of the journey of success, but also not giving up and keep going in the direction of those dreams and visions that you might have for yourself.
Beautiful. You said it very well.
Thank you. And as we wrap up, I'm just curious, what is your definition of success? And how do you feel like it has evolved since you were a little girl, a 12-year-old Xenia, until now?
Oh, it has evolved and changed. But the definition right now for me would be, are you getting what you want? It's very simple, right? What are you really getting what makes you deeply satisfied and happy? But you, not your father and mother, not someone else, not society, you. So you go inside, you go in first, and then you see if that's, whatever your outer world is aligned with your deepest desire. And that's success. And it looks different for everyone because we're all different. It's not, money or whatever, fame. When I was a little kid, I mean, when I was 12, I wanted to be seen so much that's why I guess I pursued fame and I became very, very famous
And you
in
got that,
Switzerland.
right?
Oh my God.
You were seen.
When I was 18, I was like so famous, I couldn't walk on the street. It was insane. And then I learned that, I got satisfaction from it, but I think maturing, I realized that, that being seen wasn't what would fulfill me truly. And then I started to look more inwards and finding meaning in what truly is that I want from inside and what truly makes me happy. And success looks different from everyone, but I think it's the alignment of your inner true desires with your outer world.
And what if you're not there yet?
Oh, you can get it. It's fine. It's a process. It's a journey. It's great. It's actually fun. The journey is fun. For the exploratory journey, to figure out what it is that you truly want, first of all, that's work. That's a tough, but interesting and rich work that you can do. And then once you get to that, aha moment, it's like, this is what makes me happy, then it's super fun to pursue it. So it's all a journey. It's not like here and there.
So the success is in the journey as much as it is in acknowledging the desire of where you want to go.
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing.
I mean, the fun is in the journey.
Yeah.
But success is aligning your outer world with your innermost true desires that should be only yours and not, imposed from outside.
Beautiful. I love this. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for being the living embodiment of an empowered woman, human.
Oh, thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
And you too. Keep connecting
Thank you.
people and making people feel so whole.
Oh, thank you for that. This is just chapter one. I'm sure we'll be back on this couch filming more. But
Well,
just
thank you
really
for having
appreciate you for being here today. And thank you.
Thank you.